Hi, Florence and Caroline. Thank you for joining us for the Q&A about your film Passages, and thank you to everybody out there watching and joining us at this year's St. John's International Women's Film Festival. To start, I just want to say I really enjoyed your film. There's so much about it that's great, and we're going to get into that. But I just really love the way you combined, the fact that it's not about just finding your way through a national park, but it's about finding yourself too and your own sense of belonging, I think. So there's so many layers and just so beautiful. I was sad when it was over, so I think that that's a very good sign about the depth and beauty of the film that you have. So, as co-directors and also co-producers on your film, do you want to talk, if we could start right at the beginning, do you want to talk about how you decided to make a film about a journey through a northern Quebec park?
Well, I think it started when I met Florence. Florence and I we were working in a really small production company before, and we were always inside working on some editing, some directing, but really about doing some really more hard and more maybe inside stuff. So I met Florence maybe 5 years ago,
Okay.
and we were really about doing we I think we wanted to do something bigger, and it all started like that. And afterward, when we left the company, there was something there for us, and we wanted to go outside and bring some inspiring women with us, and it all starts with that. I don't know if you can add something to that, Florence, but for me it was where it started.
Yeah, we also, Caroline introduced me to trail running. So that was a big part of living some shorter challenges or going outdoors together. Um, she brought me in the mountains and we did a few runs together. And even if it's like one day, it was an experiment that got us out of our comfort zone, and we got to learn about each other in that context. And so within what we wanted to do in films, I think we connected through the outdoors. And then for our first feature documentary, which is the case with this film, Passages is our first feature. Um, we wanted really to do something bigger, as Caroline said. And so going in the north of Quebec, it wasn't the first time for us, but we had gone for a short expedition. And this time we wanted to go for a longer expedition and really cross the whole park, and bringing a team of women with us that were maybe, they're not professional athletes, and I am not a professional athlete, but we thought that this would really make a great story because maybe viewers would really identify to the challenges that they faced. And the film was, what's the best, there's no better way to learn about yourself and the place where you come from than living challenges in the outdoors. When so it's really, that was the idea of making like
I
a self-discovery film, true.
Yeah, I
And
think when you're outside, you're really more aware to connect with yourself and with the other, because you're living sometime it's you're cold, or you have to go too many kilometers. So yourself find, you're mostly true with yourself, and that's why I think we connect so more with each other. And I think it was the main goal of the expedition, to go outside and to try to make everyone connect and go further all together.
Yeah. And certainly I think for anyone who has watched the film or will watch it, teamwork is a very big theme in your film, because you're not going to get from your point A to point B, which is 160 kilometers, without that kind of teamwork. It's essential, really. How did you, because your team also is quite nicely diverse. You have you and then the both of you, and then there's Dominique, Katrina, and Christine. And of course, Katrina is an Inuk and Christine is First Nations. So how did you find them? How did you put the team together?
So
yeah, you can go, Caroline.
So we wanted women from all over Quebec, and we wanted people with some diverse experience. So we tried to do a short video to present ourselves and to see if there was some people interested to go with us in the expedition. So we had a lot of really interesting women that wanted to come and join with us for the expedition, and we stopped our choice finally to 3 really awesome women. And I think what is the link between them is that they're so true to themselves, and they're really able to deliver a message that we needed to learn. But the thing is that before we met them, we didn't knew really what angle we wanted to go with that. It just like when we met them, we understand that it was easy. We had to follow the path of like following the path of a river. It was like flowing really easily with them, and each other had really strong qualities. So it was just a really good fit.
Mm-hmm. And if I can add to that, when we first met them, because we spent maybe a year training with them, preparing the food, the bags, and everything. We could really see that they were so authentic, and that maybe they were at the point of their life where they needed a challenge, or they needed to get out of their comfort zone. And so we could see that was exactly the team we needed to come with us on this expedition. So
yeah. And I mean, to me, it seems to make sense that you would approach it that way, because it is an expedition, but you're also telling a story. So you need people willing to do the outside work, but the participants, they have to be able to share themselves also on camera, and not everybody is comfortable with that. So it was a tall bill, to fill, I think, but you certainly, like I said, the teamwork and the 5 of you together, it clearly showed that things sort of worked well. And Florence, was there anybody who said that they didn't, in your circle, or even maybe even an insurance agent, who didn't think it was a good idea, who was saying, maybe perhaps you should rethink this, because there will be bears and rivers, and it's a very real expedition. Like, for people who are going to watch this or who have watched it, it's a very real thing that you've undertaken with risk. So was there anybody, which I loved because I love the outdoors, was there anybody that in your lives that were asking you to reconsider, or maybe just pause for thought?
Well, I think that it's maybe hard for people, especially maybe around here in Montreal or big cities, to understand that the north of Quebec, and especially the Kuujjuaq National Park, is really exotic as a place for us, even as Quebecers, because it's isolated, it's remote, and there's risk. Like, we're on the edge of Labrador. We could have seen polar bears. But I think for people, when they think of national park in Quebec, they have this idea of, okay, well, maybe I'll go on a trail and you guys will walk. So I don't think we really. I think it's mostly after watching the film that people understood the challenges that we went through when they saw the scene of us crossing the river. And there was a risk behind that. And honestly, it's mostly like Caroline and I, when we were there, that we realized that it was like such a big challenge, and especially because there was no trails. We followed a passage, we followed a river, but we kind of like made our way through it, which makes it, you know, hard at times and challenging. But I don't think that anybody was really like telling us not to do it. I think maybe Caroline, she's got like more experiences in expeditions, so she went to Antarctica or Patagonia. Those, I think, would be the expeditions that people would say, wow, okay, this is really risky. But it wasn't, our expedition was not a huge risk. It's just that like you go in a remote place, you're isolated, and that's the challenge really. You're far away, but at the same time, it's the great thing about doing it.
But also, I think that it was really engaging because also us had a big bag, and we were not looking at the girls and saying, okay, go there, girls, we'll film you and it will be okay. But at the same time, we were actually doing the expedition with them. And it was also the case with the filmmaker and the sound guys. So we were all five together, plus the team. So everyone was engaging the same amount of energy in that expedition. So we really had to work together to make it like really work, because if me or Florence would have been exhausted, the film could have not have been made. Then it happens to me just to start crying, because I thought, oh my God, we can do that, and I think we can go anymore, because the challenge was really big for real. So it was a documentary where the end was not predictable.
Yeah. And I mean, that was something, that moment, which is not in the film, but Caroline she's so experienced in the outdoors, but I think the moment where she broke down was because of us having a team with us and having their security in our hands, and they really trusted us. And that's great. We needed that to advance and make it through the end, because that was the only way. The only way to do it is to walk one step or to be in the raft and go. But at this point, we wanted to cross the river, and I think that's like the biggest challenge, and like that's the high point of the film as well, because that year there was it's in 2019, and there was lots of rain, so the river was really high. It helped us at some moment when we were on the raft, because maybe we had more flow to go. But when we were on foot and we needed to cross on the other side of the river, it took us a full day to find a path. And when we had a plan and we were like, okay, we need to do it, I guess it was challenging for me too to see Caroline having a bit of a moment, but she only did it with me, so not to show to the girls with us that we were, it's not that we were not in control, but like, yes, there's fears and all that. Yeah. But the only way to do it is to, keep a positive attitude. Because if one of us in the team would show
Broke
that
down.
we were not break down in front of them, it was over. So we would like really take the time to step aside and have our plan and let's do it and keep the positive attitude, which at times you kind of feel like you're a teacher from kindergarten being like, yeah, we can do it, but it's the only way, because if you start having a bad attitude, the whole team is, you know, being brought down. And it's true what Caroline says as well, as there was no gimmick in the production. There was no car, helicopter following us. We were just carrying all the gear and everything we needed for the whole expedition. And if one person stops, everyone stops. We had to stop.
Yeah, it was so unpredictable.
Yeah, and I think that was probably going to be, I'm glad that you spoke to it, because that was sort of another one of my questions, is the weight of it, because as producers and directors, and with your other partner Samuel as well, like you are sort of responsible for the expedition, responsible for getting the story, responsible for people's safety. So that has to feel like a weight. So I'm not surprised that you would have a moment at some point where you just, you know, yourself really felt the heaviness of it. I mean, at the same time, not to make the film sound heavy, because it's actually a delight to watch, but I'm not surprised that there would be a moment where you would just feel the pressure of everything, you know. And it's interesting that it's not on camera, so it's fun to learn about that. What about, this is sort of a technical question for any of the exploration style people listening, but in terms of the packs on the back, do you know the average weight of how heavy they are? I mean, I know that they look big, but just for people trying to understand, you know, these giant river crossings and all that stuff with these packs, like, is it between like 40 and 50 kilograms, you think, or?
I think that we weighted them before going. I think Dominique weighted her bag, and it was 60 pounds before we left. So
yeah,
that's about, what is it in kilos? Like 40?
That's 2.2 kilograms in a pound. So yeah, so that's quite a bit.
Yeah, especially because she's like 115 pounds, so she was like
her pack is 1/3 her body weight or something like that. Yeah.
But one point we wanted to get across really soon at the beginning of the expedition is like, you tell us if it's too heavy, we'll split. Whoever's got the most energy in the team will take more, and don't be shy. You know, it might happen to all of us, but the bags were definitely heavy. That was a big challenge. You feel very light after it when you just walk normally without a big backpack. At the same time, there's a beauty in it, which is that you've got everything you need, and it feels like it can go on forever at some point, you know. You only need to get refuel for food, but there's a beauty in the fact that you carry through everything having your own gear. I mean, I think everyone who is into outdoors would have this experience of feeling how amazing it is that you can just live, you know. That's another way of life that we wanted to experiment a little bit more.
I think the most difficult part with the bags was that we tried all of our equipment to be really safe from water. Yes. And we carried big cameras and a big sound system to record, but it was so difficult because we had to cross some rivers. So the pressure and the stress was always there because yes, there was some equipment like tent and our sleeping bags to keep warm, but we wanted really the camps to be okay, so it has to be protected in a way. It was a challenge.
And can you walk us through your approach to having your equipment for the field? Because clearly as filmmakers, I mean, there's the list of everything we want to bring is always quite long, but if you're gonna do this journey that's walking and then rafting, how did you streamline your kit, and like what selections did you make so that you would get the film that you wanted, but you were mobile also, you know? Like that would seem to me like something that you would have to balance quite well.
Yeah, the bags were already full of our expedition stuff, so we had to think about bringing some really light material, light batteries of camera, light hard disk, and we have like also a computer to do the backups. But when you're thinking about all the stuff, the solar panels, for example, that it's taken to record some good material, it's quite a big amount of equipment too. So we had to search on the web to see what was the lightest hard disk, and now that's what I'm using. But at first I didn't know all of the things that that were already designed to be really light. So yeah, that was a big part of the preparation process before the expedition.
And if I can add to that, so first we selected equipment that was light when we could, but also we had everything we had in double, which is not something you would do on a regular shoot where you have access to maybe some locations. But let's say you have a card reader, we had to, everything was split up in people's bags. You know, you kind of gotta go and think, what if Caroline's bag just floats in the river and is gone? Can we still make a film? So we had, so like a backup camera, and I was really intense with memory cards and backups. So, you know, we had the hard disk. They were like protected from water, and I was doing 3 backups every night in my tent, and I was going in Caroline's tent, giving her hard disk, Samuel's tent.
You were doing a lot of work with that, because after a day of walking for hours, Florence was taking it very seriously to do the backups. So she was really good with that. But it was so important not to lose footage, and this is the main challenge when you're doing expedition and filming at the same time. I think it's so easy to lose image.
Yeah. Okay. So in some ways, you like, with respect to hard drives and stuff, you had a little more than you usually would have, because you were making sure you were splitting it up amongst 3 people, so that if something happened to one person or a bag was lost, then at least 2 examples would exist, and you even had a backup camera.
Exactly.
Okay.
So pretty much usually like maybe you would have 2 backups, that's the norm. But like literally we had like 4 backups of everything because I you know, there was no way we were finishing this and not having, you know, some material to get the story across. Like for me, that was the most important thing about doing it, not only doing it, but bringing
at
it
least
to the screen.
I think we were really lucky and nothing happened with the footage, but the camera at some time, I was asking myself if it would do it, because it was raining so much, and but Sam was so good keeping it warm with him. But yes, it was a real challenge.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I feel like one of the favorite scenes for me, you know, is when I mean, there's so many good scenes, but when you all land, you know, finally at the base camp there in the park, as the plane lands, every different person on the expedition has a reaction, you know, from like, oh, if this is real, or we're here now, like this is real and we have to do this. And you get there late, you don't get there till around 4:30, which is later than you wanted, and you still have 13 kilometers to do, and you go till 1:30. But along the way, I don't want to give a spoiler, but one person does have some difficulty on this first day, and some of the suggestion was like, okay, well, we take more breaks, but you're obviously not going to make your 10 days if you take a lot of breaks. So can you walk me through what you're feeling at the end of the first day after all of that happens?
Oh my God. I think each day was a step more. And it was really important for us to finish the day and not being so happy because we wanted to be able to do the next day. And just before the end, we never were able to say that we would have it done because it was so hard each day. And when we arrived in the park, we just started the day and thought that 30 kilometers would be nothing, you know. But after quite maybe 4 hours of walking, there was not big distance done. And I think that the two of us, Florence and I, just realized that it would be something to go at the end of this expedition. And we felt ourselves, I think, really questioning all the expedition, because we never tried it before, you know. We never did that in the past with all the gear that we had, and there was not someone that did that before too. So we didn't really have an example of someone in the past. So yeah, after the first day, I think we just first we felt asleep, but just after the morning after, that was a lot of question, I think, in our mind to know if we were or would be able to continue that way. Yes.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Florence?
I think that that's is not something that we expected to have. Someone, having a breakdown on day one. We thought that it would maybe come with like a few days in or something like that. But at the same time, when it happened, it's like we could sense that it was more like happening mentally and not like physically. We were like, she can definitely do it.
Yes.
We just need to be there for her. And also it's just like, it might be a little bit different than what she expected it to be. Or, you're really minded, you're like, oh, it's gonna go great. And then it is difficult and you realize how difficult it is going to be. So I think that when it happened, of course, we were, a bit worried or rethinking it. But in my head, there was no doubt that she would continue and we would be able to make it.
Yeah, I think the women that the three of them, they were, in a way, I think we chose them because they were all leaders of themselves a lot. And I think in the group, everyone was trying to lift up the others. So we were quite really well all together. So that was the main thing, I think, that did the project work. And we saw that the first night when we arrived at our first camp, that each other was there for the other one.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And that, I think, comes across in this film, just the level of support and how close everybody becomes as friends and also team members as the days go on. And I think I love the quote when we're talking about this first day, where the person says, I don't want to stop, but I want the voice inside my head telling me that it's hard to stop. And I thought that's so beautiful, because despite having a challenging day, the person knows that there's no way they're going to give up, but it's kind of this, this mental sort of dialogue that they're having.
Mm-hmm. And there's also like a vulnerability when you're faced to all the elements of nature, but secondly, you need help for everything and you have to ask for it. Like you need help to put your bag on, and just that can be really challenging. Like, you want to do your own thing and put your own backpack on, but you need the help of others to not get injured. So all that makes it that you don't
have the choice.
You don't have the choice to accept the help of others, and everyone needs to do it together.
Yeah. So in a way, like having an ego or something really doesn't have any place in this kind of expedition, because it really is about being intertwined and on the same page and helping each other out. What do you think is and I'm a firm believer in this too, I spend so much time outdoors. And I think too, when I think about those people's journey, some people talk about having trauma in their youth, and some people just talk about just in life feeling caged in and wanting to break out. What do you think is the true, and this is more a philosophical question, but what do you think is the true restorative quality of nature? Like why do we go out in nature and feel better?
I think out there's no filter. I think that everything is so raw, and the rivers, the rocks, everything is there in front of you, and you're alone with yourself. Even if you're with some more people, you are confronted with the environment, and there's nothing to hide. You can't hide something. And that's when I think the relation with people becomes stronger, because you are there with the elements. And I think you're growing a lot of that, because in our city now, maybe we have everything we need always, so we never see ourselves confronted in front of a real challenge. Just searching for water can be difficult. And when you're going for a walk, for a long distance walk, and you're exhausted, everything can look really more harder to do. And I think we miss maybe that in our society now, just to work for something so easy to find water, for example. So yeah, this is a good question, but being there with other people also make the link so much stronger in nature because of those reasons, I think.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Florence?
It's a great answer. I knew that Caroline would have a good answer for this, because she spends so much time in the outdoors as well, that like spending so much time also means you have a lot of time to think about what you're doing and why you're doing it. But I totally agree. There's just a lot of distraction. It's really easy to distract yourself when you're in the city, and not really take the time to reassign or think about where you stand or who you are really. When you're in this condition, everyone is on the same level, and there's something beautiful about just coming to more of a simplistic way of life, and you move from one place to the other, you make food, you seek shelter, and as you said, there's really no ego involved. There can't be. So that's what's challenging at time, I think, is to face maybe some reactions that you're gonna have that you were not expecting, but it has to be true and within you, so you just really learn about yourself way more. It's like an advanced fast-paced learning of who you really are, as opposed to maybe more urban lifestyles where distractions can keep you away from really thinking about these things. Or sometimes being outdoors is just you're not thinking about any of that, and that's okay as well. You know, you can be days with it feels good sometimes to just think about not much and just going to places and yeah.
Yeah. And it seems a very common, at least one point in the movie with the three participants and probably everybody else as well. There just seems to be a moment or a scene where it's very clear that a person has to dig deep in themselves to get over a hurdle. And where do you think people need to go to do that? I mean, you could speak to it as filmmakers or on a personal level, but when you come up against that challenge, how, as expeditioners and filmmakers too, did you push yourselves as people and as a team to move forward?
I think maybe you need to find this strength within yourself, as in see something bigger than just your own little person doing this thing. But that's when maybe you're gonna start thinking about people that were there before you, the challenges that they faced. Let's say for the girls, maybe their ancestors, but I know that me, through running challenges, that has come across my mind in difficult times to think about, people that were there before me and how, you know, they had their struggles too, and kind of like seeing it as something bigger than yourself. Um, and we knew that the three women we brought with us had this strength within themselves because they had some challenges in their personal life, and I think these challenges make them very resilient, and it helped them to find the power. And so one of the girls, she was going through a grief. She had lost someone just before going on the expedition, and so it was a very difficult time for her, but I think it helped her push more and get through the end.
And reconnect with herself, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think that becomes very apparent. And again, back to sort of how we started with the teamwork. I always felt when I was watching it, if one person had a challenge, then everybody else rose to the occasion to try to lift them up. And that really was I think one of the strengths and the beautiful parts of watching your movie, is just to see all of this togetherness in action, not only to meet the physical challenges every day, but as we know on expeditions, it's in here lots of times where the big challenge lies. So we've got about roughly 10 minutes left. So I want to get in a few more questions. You said in the documentary really quickly that it took 10 months to prepare the journey. Do you want to just describe those in a nutshell, you know, what that 10 months looks like in order to get mentally and, you know, physically ready?
So there was some different part for the preparation that we needed to do, and you know, there's a big part of finding the food, finding the bags that we would use, but it's all, I think it's also speaking with the people out there, you know, because it's not an usual park that you go there. It's managed by people in Kujwak. So people there, they're doing really good work, and we needed to explain them what the goal was, and they were really kind to ask us so many questions about the project. And a main part of the preparation was to find a good itinerary and to validate it with them, because they wanted us to be safe. They wanted us to communicate a lot with them. And the Nunavik parks are really good doing that, because they don't put people there not knowing the route that they will take. So yeah, they asked us so many questions, and it was good to be able to speak with them almost maybe each week to see how can that expedition come and be realized there. And after that, I think it was also to just prepare the team to be able to go out there. None of us did a lot of kayak or rafting before, so we had to be really ready for everything. And I remember in the expedition feeling like, okay, this time I have to do like some move that I learned before when I was practicing with the other girls. So for the three women that were in the movie too, they needed to learn a lot. I mean, I was doing some expedition before for sure, but for women that we took from cities, almost with just not much experience in outdoor at first, that was a big challenge for them to train, and that was not something that they were used to do normally. So they were so good at it, and all together we learned a lot. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, roughly 5 minutes left. Yeah, and I think it's quite an interesting point too to talk about working with people in Kuujjuaq, right? Because that relates to community consultation with the Inuit, and that's incredibly important, I think, on a trip like this. And I just love TV Talk's comment at the beginning when he's talking about the journey, and it's almost metaphorical in the sense where he says, like, no matter what in the park, it's not just about going, but it's about pushing through, whatever comes your way. And I remember thinking, is this going to be foreshadowing in a way? Because it was so insightful, and a very profound thing to say.
Yeah, that really spoke to us that moment. That was actually, I think Caroline mentioned it, but 3 months before leaving on this expedition, Caroline and I and Samuel, the other producer, we flew into the village where the expedition ended. And that's where we met with the whole park team. We had a few meetings, and that's where we also met the elder TV Talk. And when he spoke with us, that became really real that we were going to do it. But it was also challenging to then do the last 3 months of preparation before going on the land, because he said, yes, it's going to be very challenging, but your mental preparedness and resilience will be what will help you go through it. So
yeah. One thing that was important for us was to speak with people from the place, because they have their ancestor living there. So a part of me and Florence, I think, wanted the people to speak about what they had like experience before. And this park is so special for people out there near Kuujjuaq, because that's the land of that's their land, that's the Inuit land, and for them and for Katrina that is from Kuujjuaq, I think a part of her was really proud to go there and explore one path that was taken before by, you know, the people like hundreds years ago. So being there on the field with her and Florence, and just seeing that we were really there and it was happening for real, I felt so good just to see that. And yeah, it was a big moment for me.
Wonderful. So yeah, and I think how you just felt just then, it's going to come across in the film for those who have yet to watch it, because it's full of adventure and emotion. So we'll clue up, but I just want to ask you before we go, because we'd love, I think, at the festival to see more from you. What is your next project? What is it that you wanna do next?
I'm presently working on an expedition project in Svalbard. So for the moment, we're trying to prepare this expedition. It will be 2 months in the night, because there's no light in winter here, and with some polar bears. And I think Florence and I will probably do another project really soon. I think it was a good fit with the two of us. So I don't know, Florence, if in the next month you have other projects on your side. I think so.
Yeah, I'm excited for our second feature together, Caroline, and yeah, it was just a great experience. I think we've got more to bring to the screen for our next film as well.
Wonderful. Yes, we'd love to hear more from you, and I just want to thank you so much for making this film and really bringing us something special, I think, and new. You don't often see a lot of films, expeditionary films, featuring women, so it's a wonderful thing, I think, that you've done there. And to all of you, is there any last thing you wanna say before we clue up?
Just a thank you to the festival for our for the selection of the film, for the premiere that we have at the St. John Film Festival. Really, it's touching. I hope people enjoy.
I think the festival are a window to promote really nice connection between women, but it's not just in the movies, and it's like it can be after, like what we are doing right now. I think it's so important too. And yeah, it's not just on the screen, and it goes everywhere. And I think it's good to be able to do like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Florence and Caroline. And to everybody else out there, we've got more films all of this week, so please join us and enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you.